Right, so guys, welcome back to another video on the Mk1 Focus RS. Now, I totally forgot in the last video that I did not introduce this car properly to the channel. So that's what this video is all going to be about. We're going to do a walk around, going to show you all the problems with the car, how we're going to solve them. We're waiting for parts at the minute, so I thought it was a perfect time to do it. So stay tuned to the channel and smash that subscribe button. While it was sitting here, I thought I'd give it a walk around and just tell you sort of what the bits need doing to the car to bring it back up to spec. Obviously you see that the head gasket was gone on it, various other bits. If you haven't seen that one, go back and look at that episode. You can see here the oil seal around the head gasket that had destroyed. It's the original head gasket, so it's a no-brainer. The bore's actually really good. There's, you know, the home marks are still in the bores. The pistons are really clean. There's no depth marks or anything on them, no damage. They'll clean up lovely. Bit of brake cleaner, bit of auto sol, and they'll come up spanking again. So get them polished up so none of that carbon builds up in the future. So give you a little look around the car. Obviously the car has the original 18-inch RS alloys, and these were made by OZ Racing, so you can see there. And these are obviously 18, so for a car like this sort of size, that was a big statement back in the day. Obviously they come standard with Brembos. You can see there, you've got Brembos on them, and the discs are probably need replacing. It's been sitting so long. Drilled discs, but as I say, they'll be replaced. So we've got this damage on the wing here. You can see this wing's been hit. Obviously these arches on these cars are a lot wider than the stock Focus. So that's how you can tuck these big 18-inch wheels underneath them. You can see here on the actual arch itself, it's been hit and it's kinked in here. And that'd be pulled out nicely and we get that painted up. Obviously this is a beautiful blue colour that comes with these cars. Back in the day, obviously early 2000s, when the clear indicators were all enraged, and that's sort of gone a full loop, and actually it's gone back to orange indicators. Actually, you see on the Evo we changed them back. So obviously we've got the original RS model. I'm going to show you inside in the interior. Pretty much the only thing from the outside that tells you that it is an RS is the little RS badge here, but it was kind of a car that was like a tribute car, and it was kind of subtle as well. Got a full system on there, but it's got a subtle tailpipe, so you wouldn't even know that it's got a full system on there. Pretty much the bodywork is pretty stock. We've got some bits we've got to do to it. Some, as you see, the arches have got to be repaired on the rear and the front, which is obviously going to be just bodywork. That's not a problem. So we're going to get it mechanically sweet first, then we're going to go through it. So obviously got another little badge here, RS badge, and then inside is where it gets a little bit funky. So obviously you've got the blue steering wheel. Now the first obviously cars that I see with this type of steering wheel were the Zetec S's, the little Fiesta Zetec S's. They had red ones and blue ones back in the day, and they sort of paid homage to that with these steering wheels. You can see it's a pretty good steering wheel, because obviously this paint or whatever it is for this leather dye, it actually comes off really easy if you rubbed it hard enough. But you can see the car hasn't done a ton of mileage because it hasn't actually rubbed off. Inside you've got these gauge clusters. You can see here you've got the RS gauge clusters, the blue ones, and these obviously are differentiating between the RS and the lower models. Over on the side here you've got the turbo boost gauge. Obviously if you're running over sort of, well, 1.5 bar, it goes off the gauge. You can see there it goes into the red. That's where you want it to be, or past that if you ain't running enough boost. So yeah, basically this car's done 60 something k. I'll get the actual official amount of mileage that it's done. So I know these parts actually look like they've come from Halfords, but they come stock with the car. So you can see here you've got an RS gear knob. These come stock, and they was back in the day, early 2000s, these were the big things that everyone was putting on their car, these sort of gear knobs. Also this is from Sparco, same with the interior. So you've got this Sparco handbrake. Another thing that they was obviously putting on the cars back in the day, getting Halfords parts and putting them on. So even though they do look a little bit tacky nowadays because they're a bit dated, they are actually original to the car, so they will stay on. One of the first cars as well to have engine start. I'm not sure like exactly when it was that engine start come on a push button, but I do remember these being one of the first that I remember to have push start on the obviously the button like that. And this is the number for the car, so you can see it's a genuine RS model 2911. So that's the actual number for the car. So interior wise as well, we've got the Sparco seats. So try and get out of this sun because it's very sunny today. So you've got the original Sparco seats. They really do look good in the car. A little bit of wear on them because they are Alcantara, so they kind of wear quite quickly, but they're lovely to sit in. So you can see here they're an Alcantara seat, and there's not a ton of wear on these, especially Obviously the car's not done a ton of mileage, it has been sitting for a long time, so there's not a ton of wear on this Alcantara, and Alcantara does actually wear quite badly. So you can see there's a little bit of bobbling here, but nothing, it can't be sorted. So this, obviously the interior has to have a going through because it's absolutely filthy inside at the minute, but it'll be properly detailed. As I say, we're just going to go through the mechanicals first. So you've got the blue door cards as well to go with the Sparco interior. So here's a bit of a better view of the Sparco seats. You can see they're actually pretty clean. You've got a little bit of wear on this leather here. The Alcantara is probably the most important part because the leather can be re-dyed. You can see in the back as well, they've got the blue seats in the back. I'll just pull them forward so you can see them. They've hardly been sat in. Right, so pulling these seats forward now, you can see obviously these are specific to these models as well. You've got the Sparco rear seats, pretty much similar to the stock car seats, but obviously Sparco limited edition. They're the blue ones that everyone wants. Proper clean up, well, these have come up lovely. There's hardly any wear on them. You can see like the RS badge on there as well, all genuine stuff. This is going to come up really nice when it's all done. Really looking forward to actually getting it right up to scratch, and you know it will, properly cleaned in here. I'll probably do an episode where I clean the interior out thoroughly. There's going to be a lot of dirt and dust coming out of it. Not a lot of wear, as you can see. Easily refeed these leather seats. So one thing I did notice about the car is it has got a sort of Innovit, I think it's a turbo timer, it actually is a turbo timer, an Innovit one. It's got AFR on it, but I'm not sure if it's wideband. It's obviously not been hooked up for a while, so I'll have a look into that. Innovit are a good make, but whether it's a wideband or not, we're not sure. Got obviously the usual stereo, just a Sony one from the 2000s. So I've got a few bits turning up already for the car. This is a throttle position switch, just bought for it because I think that one's slightly faulty. Got a scan gauge going to plug into the car as well. We're going to wire that in properly. So obviously got this carbon fibre type centre console as well. I'm not actually sure if it is actually carbon fibre or not. It just feels plastic. Don't want to pull it out or anything to have a look. If you let me know in the comment section if it is. Pretty sure though it's just going to be a plastic with a carbon fibre weave, but no idea on that one. It does look nice though. Looks tidy. As you can see, it looks like proper Halford's Rip Speed look from the early 2000s, but that's how this car was designed to look. You know, that was the big thing back in the day. Obviously these were made in 2003 and that was the big rage thing to do. So that's pretty much it for the interior, and that differentiates the RS models from the lower models. So with the engine spec, obviously we've got a GT28 turbo on this car, and obviously we've got forged pistons in there. If we want to go any further, you're probably going to have to forge the rods, anything over like 400 horsepower mark, but we've got the stock charge cooler in here at the minute. This is going to have to be uprated, and you can get a lovely Spec R or Pro Alloy one that literally fills up this bumper, and you can take the grille out and makes it look amazing. I think Ford with this car sort of got the proportions really right. I think they're nicer when they're a little bit lower, drops a little bit so you actually see the wide arches. We've got the front lip on there, obviously that's not stock, and they get smashed up because you can see how far they are off the ground, and they absolutely get destroyed, so you pretty much go through them as consumables. So we've got a couple more scuffs around the car. You can see up here, got a scuff on this bumper here. Pretty much most of these panels have got some sort of ding or dent, which is all obviously going to be sorted. This car's going to be brung back to its former glory, as you know it will be. You've got on the rear, you've got these grooved and drilled discs on the rear as well. Obviously another thing that goes really badly on these cars, and any Ford RS, is the sills. So obviously as this is a low mileage car, the sills on it are actually really mint. It's actually quite hard to see under here, but the sills are really mint. So I've had the side skirts off at some point and checked all that over, and the sills are sweet. So you can they all rot behind here where the sort of the mud and everything gets stuck down the back here, but really clean, which is an important part for a low mileage car. So obviously the wheels are a little bit tired on the car. They've got stone chips and everything, been a little bit curved up in the past. These will all be replaced, repaired. We've got actually another set of these alloys, and they'll be powder coated up and replaced. On the rear here is obviously another issue that we've got, and you can see here it's had a bit of a ding on this rear arch. Now, as I said, these rear arches ain't stock arches, they're very wide. You can see how much wider they are. So it's had a little bit of a ding here. I think it's had some archwork in the past, because it looks like there's a little bit of filler there, so maybe it's had a little bit of rust, or if it's actually had a whack there before. You can see there, obviously the bodywork, this will be pulled out. And I don't know if they do actually replacement arches for this, whether you can replace them. like the old Fords, or you have to actually pull this out with a dent puller. So I think it's the front bumper on these that really the aesthetically pleasing sort of thing about them. So you've got these vents here in the side of the bumper, and I've seen these put on other cars in the past, and they do look really good. Obviously that's a vent to let the air out past the bumper so it don't get trapped behind there, and then the bumper is super deep. So on this car, obviously, instead of having like the new Mark II RS and the Mark III RS with the massive wings on the back, you can see it's actually quite a subtle wing. It is still quite a decent size wing, but you don't really see it in the pictures, and it has got like a kind of lip on it, as you can see there, but it is specific just to the RS model, and it's a nice size wing. Doesn't really do nothing for downforce, but still makes the back of the car look good. On a hatchback, they kind of need that wing just to sort of make it more aggressive. So obviously we've got these side trims here, these kick panels. These are obviously just specific to the RS models, and they're actually in pretty good condition. And I think they're stainless? No, I think they're aluminium. Might be able to polish them up, or they're like a satin brush look, but they're not no damage or any scuff marks on it. You can see, you can just tell it's a genuine car. So I've got some spare parts for the car already. This is obviously a set of refurbished RS alloys. You see how crusty them ones were that were on the car. So these ones have already been refurbed. An actual spare set. These are obviously a genuine set as well. So these are going to go on the car. So these wheels are going to have some lovely grippy tyres on them as well. So maybe some AR ones from Nankang, or even, you know, R888s, whatever. But yeah, they're just basically another set that's going to go on the car. Also got another set of interior as well, which I will show you in another video. I've just got to dig it out. It's very dusty at the minute. Right, so for a little bit of a bonus, I think a few of you might have seen this in the last video on the back of a trailer. Got Mk1 Escort here. It's going to be getting built up. You can see it's got bubble arches on it at the minute, just mocking them up. Very solid car. It's obviously got a few patchwork bits on it. So I've always absolutely loved these cars. This is an actual genuine RS2000 as well. It's come back from shop blasting, hasn't had no welding done to it. You can see it's obviously got patchworks all over it, because obviously these are old cars, but it's an actual solid car. So you can see obviously the car's got patchworks all over it, but before this car was even blasted, you could not even tell that it had any of these patches done. It had a lot of filler, a lot of bits done to it, a lot of paint work done, so the car actually looked good. It was in purple, so it wasn't the greatest colour, doesn't really go with it. It's going to go to an original colour. So if you'd like to see more of this project, drop a comment, smash the like button, comment in the comment section. I've never really built or touched Mark 1, Mark 2 Escort, so this would be a nice one for me. This ain't my car, obviously. This is a friend's car, but I'll be videoing it if you want it videoed, and we'll get to building this. Obviously you're going to go bubble arches, and it's a genuine RS2000 model, so obviously a bit special there. So I've got absolutely tons and tons of panels, that all the original panels needed to go to get this thing back together. So we're going to try and get stuck into it and get it done properly. It's going to go into an original green colour, which I'll show you. If you want to see this car, we get all the panels out, we get the engine. It's going to have a COSI engine going into it, an NA engine, not a turbo. I think it'll be an absolutely beautiful build. I love the bubble arches on this. They just look so good. I think the Escorts, the Mark 1s and Mark 2s, they look a little bit narrow. When you put these bubble arches on, just so much aggression. So obviously they're metal arches, not fiberglass ones, and they really fit on there well. There's hardly any work been needed to be done to fit them on there. So although the car has got like patches all over it, it's actually a solid car for such an early car as well. You can see in the floor pans, things have been replaced at parts, but it is actually a solid car. Much more solid than some of the cars I'm used to working on. Obviously, if you've seen the Fiesta RS Turbo, you've seen the Escort, it was a lot of work, but these patches have been done, and although they ain't been done to the greatest standard, they're still solid. They haven't rusted through like most of the repairs are done. They've just been fillered over the top to make them look good. So you can see loads and loads of work. This is straight from the blasters, straight back into primer. Absolutely no welding done to it at all. This is how it come, and it's going to be built up. So obviously a lot of the parts are all going to be replaced. Got panels everywhere for it, and if you're excited to look for this one, drop a comment.